Alright, and here we are with the Wii version. I am still Evil Tim, and this is still Let's Play Goldeneye, but it's Let's Play the other form of Goldeneye. Here we go. So, let's get started. This is, of course, the IMFD Wii, which was bought specifically so that I could do it for that site. However, that's not of interest to us. Now, I'm going to be using the Wiimote and Nunchuck to do the first training section, but then we'll be switching over to the Classic Controller Plus, because I'm not putting up with the Wiimote nonsense for the entire game. The controls are all over the place, and you have to press the minus key in order to reload, which wasn't a good idea. So we're being warned to ensure that we don't throw the Wiimote through our television set, even though that doesn't affect you. And you can also use the Wii Zapper if you don't mind that it isn't actually a particularly accurate thing, what with only having 2 points of grip and such like. So, the further history of this game then. It's basically that Nintendo think in terms of brands, you see. They felt that they needed to get hold of Goldeneye in order to get us FPS playing grognards aboard who would never otherwise play with a Wii. Unfortunately, they went for a fairly generic version of Goldeneye, which is just one of Eurocom's outputs, and it didn't really work out, as you might guess. Ask Gratier Artis, it is a grat arse, and no mistake. That line is roaring at us to keep us from checking out his great arse, you see. So, we've got a copyrighty screen here, which doesn't include the thing saying that Activision can turn off the multiplayer services, for example. They haven't actually done that yet, as far as I'm aware, but they probably will soon, because no one's playing it anymore, you see. So, as you can see, there's a big space in there for them to stick reloaded. I guess everyone knew this was just a timed exclusive. And this one actually does have a demo, but it still doesn't have a gun barrel sequence, so we don't care about that. Anyway, we're going to go with a new game. Our profile is, of course, Dongs, and once again we are doing this on 007 mode. Now, if you're wondering how I'm going to possibly get hold of 2 entire collections of jokes per update, worry not. I'm going to get a couple of my friends in for all of the other versions of these. For now, I'm solo. We're going to go through this and explain some of the differences between these 2 versions, you see. So I'm immediately looking around like a spaz, because I unfortunately do not have a living room which is ideally shaped for this kind of thing. So over here, if we look in the gun cabinet, we have all of the guns here instead of just a strange little selection of them. And because of this level's color filter, we also have the grey gun down here, famous for Scaramanga not using it. We'll see all of these as we go throughout the game, I'm sure, so we don't really have to worry about those funny-looking contraptions now. So, that there is exclusive to this version, the Talon HL-450. We'll be seeing that when we get into facility, but for now we go over here. Okay, so that's the first main thing, is that if you don't have a gun, you will automatically pick up guns until you have the full allotted amount. And after that you can just switch them over, you see. So load that up and we'll get some more control-y tutorials, and I will aim poorly. Okay, so in this version you only have 1 reload regardless of whether your gun's full or empty, which almost always includes a superfluous wrecking of the slide, you see. And apparently they got their idea of realism from black, which among other things means that the screen goes blurry when you reload, and also means that some of the guns have a lot of strange things about them. Because the games industry apparently confused black's detail with accuracy. They're not the same thing. So we've taken out all of them in the time I was explaining that, and now let's duck down here and show that aiming in this mode is kind of difficult. So we'll take care of that one, that one, that one, and that one, and then we will aim over here for no good reason. I'm not really sure why that happened. Now, one of the things with the Wiimote is that, like most FPSs, if you aim, you have to aim at the edges of the screen in order to turn your head, and if you aim completely off the screen, then you stop moving entirely. So anyway, so we've got this thing here, which I'll tell you about in a minute. We've also got the Tokarev again, which this time is a steely effect. You also notice that the gun effects have a bit more bass to them in this one. They are a bit more impressive. So that's pretty good, actually. I appreciate that kind of thing. Still got an ejection port on the wrong side, I see. You're a bad gun, so you can go away. Right, so let's pull out the MP5, because it's not an MP5. This thing is actually an HK-94 chopped and converted, which is the civilian carbine version of the MP5. You can tell that because it doesn't have a paddle magazine release. It's apparently just had an SEF trigger group added to it. This is the same as in black, which also has a converted HK-94 instead of an MP5. The other Sigmas is also different, so we have to shake the Wiimote in order to use controls, which is done by meleeing them. You then press A to open the door anyway. I'm not really sure what the story of that is. A is usually the run button, as I recall, although I haven't played it with the Wiimote in quite a while, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, let's screw that on there, and then vault over here. So we've got no water in there because the Wii can't spring for that kind of technology, and we've got no products in here either. It's all a bit knob, really. As before, everything is very grey over here. We'll find that this window doesn't have a reflection at all anymore. That was taken away because of the government. So we can press up on the D-pad to equip the P99 with a silencer, which is really awkward because you have to shift your grip on the Wiimote type device. But anyway, let's go through here, gun that down and reload ourselves. Back in we go. There. So let's pull this thing off here, and then we will have to take this man out again. Press A to push, and we push. Right, so this guy is as ever skulking around with his back to us. That's not on, and off his hat goes into the ether. So we'll pick up his gun automatically, and once again our thoroughfare is blockhead by these wheelie things. You can see here this thing has got a fire selector on the wrong side. The Wii guns actually have selectable fire modes, but there isn't an animation for selecting them, so I don't really know what that's doing there. It's just there to be gratuitously inaccurate, I suppose. So, there's the logo there. Per Pio Cigares A. Well, they're his Cigares A, so we'll defeat him by aiming at everything except him. Right, there, he's out of it. So, push that in, give that a quick tweak, and then I will briefly pause the game in order to there you go, so I'm just looking up here because I'm taking the wrist strap off. So, this is so I can switch over to the Classic Controller Plus before we get into an actual level, you see. So, now we're back in that. I have adjusted myself and moved back over to the desk. So, we're ready to begin as we are. Right, so now we're looking around a bit more smoothly, and with this you still have to melee everything in order to use it, but you can, rather than using down to select weapons, you now use left and right on the D-pad to select weapons. Down is the camera, and up on the D-pad is either select fire mode or use the silencer.
For the past 3 years, a high-ranking Russian general, Arkady Arumov, has been stealing Russian military equipment and selling it on the black market.
Right, okay, so none of this actually is Russian military equipment. I don't know why it's showing up here. That's Talon HL-450 again, which is exclusive to this version, but still appears in this briefing screen even in Reloaded.
Agent 006, your mission is to infiltrate his base of operations, destroy the weapons cache, and, if need be, eliminate General Orumov.
I'm going to eliminate him anyway, and stop calling me Cash. Right, so he's taking cover at secure location, but heavy security is threatening him once again. Those are some very overweight men. Either that or this is just insulting them. So, the plane is about to take it. Why don't you just press the rewind button and give us some more time? That's lazy of you, I think. So, meanwhile, Daniel Craig is once again ruining the world just by being in it, so we are going to have to put a stop to probably him. Right, so we're into the level, but there's a loading screen this time, and it gives us the objectives, which Reloaded never does, so you just have to kind of mysterious your way through them the first time around. So there are a lot of cosmetic differences. There are some really big differences, though, and we'll see them now as we make our way into the level itself. Right about now. There we go. So it's Archangelsk Blast. I guess they didn't want to call it Archangelsk, but they had to live with it in the end. So, local time 6:10 hours. We zoom across things once again into these slightly more disappointing graphical things that are here. We're zooming in on this dastardly man lurgling his way across the landscape. Here's Daniel Craigie once more. Bring your ears, sir.
Welcome to Russia. MI6 has given us the go-ahead on the mission. Let's wait until the last truck passes.
Okay, so this really is the last truck, because we're not doing this again. So this time, however, the last truck is more heavily armed. Look at it. It has the power of a Browning M2. I'm not really sure what that's doing on a Russian truck, but never mind. It's obviously happy with that type of behavior. So this game it looks okay for a PS2 game. It's actually very much comparable to Black, in fact, and we're not going to be dealing with any kind of tribalist nonsense to the contrary.
We are men of action. There is no action here.
Okay, so we've got to perform our actions. So we've got to subdue. I'm going to subdue you because I know you turn out to be the baddie late. No, it actually just subdues this guy instead. We pull him over here. He apparently dies of fear, and we put him out of his misery.
Nice work, James. Just like old times.
Yeah, we did that all the time back in college.
Take the tower, but watch out for that sniper. I'll get the truck.
Okay, so you'll notice this concrete bollard isn't damaged in this version. You also, you might have noticed in the previous level, rather than having suit jacket hands, he had combat gloved hands. He was more ready for action there. Right, so down in this tunnel there is no longer a Janus symbol because they didn't think that that would be necessary in this Wii version of ours, so let's climb up here and climb up here as well. Okay, so as I said before, Ivan is not down here now, so the guy up there is just talking to nobody in particular. So we'll advance on him in full lodge and ready ourselves to defeat all of these men. Now, one thing you might have noticed already is the guy just disappeared off the radar. In this version, if you can't see someone, they don't appear on radar, which makes being stealthy a lot more difficult. So, that's bad, and we'll have to go up here and deal with these men blind because of it. Blind, deaf, stupid, and ugly. So, you, sir, I'm going to sight in on you very carefully indeed and take an inordinate length of time over it, and he just dies incredibly quickly. That was very acrobatic of him, but we're somehow spotted. I don't really know how that works, but never mind. He gets shot at, and we almost die here as well, which is clumsy of me. You almost killed me. That was mean. Okay, so here's the extra firepower, and you'll notice that for some reason on one side of the receiver it's made of wood, which is strange. So load that up there. You can't actually see the suppressor when it's on the weapon's in-world model, and they have very hot tips to their guns, which is strange. So the suppressor in this version actually replaces everything on the barrel forward of the gas piston and makes the gun sound like a kitten hiccuping, which is not a good thing, not much of an improvement there. However, it actually does have a reasonably correct attachment for the scope at least. It's mounted on a side bracket as opposed to being mounted randomly using an MP5E thing, and those things there aren't there either, which is good, I suppose. So we can pick up some ammo there because we actually need it this time. There's no lockers here, just this radiator which is staring at us, taunting us, no doubt. So we'll pull this thing out here, and you can see there the suppressor replacing the barrel. That's naughty of it. But at least it's got this thermonuclear scope, so we can take care of people with violence. No, not violence on me, though.
Words to live by.
Okay, slam that. Once again, he sweeps it all into his lap and throws her away. This is probably why the speedometer is hovering around 70 in the other version, is because it's stuck there in this version. And here's something that they changed, you see, because over here you can see soldiers doing the work, which I guess was so unrealistic they had to make new models.
Be prepared to move. How's your Russian these days?
I'm not prepared to move. That was Irish. Alright, so once again we get stopped by these dudes here who are going to interrogate us and find out that we are actually a pair of Sneakingtons sent here from England. This guy apparently has got a tuning fork under his gun in this version. I don't really know what that's all about. Maybe it's a very small sideways bipod. Okay, so Eminem once again takes care of these two guys, smash the window, and let's get started with our ways as we're prone to doing by gunning these men down. It's a lot harder to hit the fuel tanks in this version of the game. I don't really know why, and I can't explain it, you see, because that wouldn't work. I guess it's just that it's a lot less generous with its hitboxes or something, or it just has bad hit detection. One of those things is definitely true, though. So we'll load that up and we'll see what happens to this thing if you don't hit it, which is that it gets rammed off the road by our truck. That skids to the side there. It's all go and all actiony. These guys can't shoot at us in this version. That guy can, so we'll take him out. Now, in this version, it's not true, but in the other version, the truck that Trevelyan gets in at the end of the level, that's going to go down there to the end of the level to wait for him, has a military blank firing adapter on it for some reason. I'm really not sure what that's all about, and neither is he, so he's of no use to us. There are a couple of extra lines there from Trevelyan telling us to take care of that thing, and it's actually further over as well. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't make any sense, and neither does this. Okay, this guy's rocket just sort of arcs up into the sky in a random manner, but this time he actually does hit our truck, and it overturns and slides. And Bond doesn't black out here. He is a bit more hardcore in the Wii version, I suppose. Even though he actually, I believe, has less health. He certainly seems to, and this ground isn't wet. It's not a good thing, that. So in comes the Jellycopter, which only has 4 rotors in the Wii version. They couldn't spring for the other 3. So it's going to make its landing, and 4 men are running towards us as well, 1 per rotor. They can't even hit you here, so it's not really a threat to our ways. So down we go, and we're ready for the breaching sequence again, and here you're going to see a really big difference in the breaching sequences.
Probably just another surprise.
Okay, so once again, Trevelyan's suppressor there has a bore so big that it definitely isn't for suppressing anything, and he just makes that face if you wait here. Okay, so this is why breaching sequence are easy. In this version, you fire at completely normal speed. I guess in this case, it really is just all the men slow down for you, which is nice of
They
them.
looked EMP hardened, designed to survive an electromagnetic pulse.
The blast from the weapons cache will take care of it.
I'm getting a picture for MI6.
Don't waste your time.
Okay, so once again he pokes us in the eye, which is mean of him. So here's the thing I was showing you before. Let's see how it happens in the Wii version. Let's see if it's the same. I'll give you a hint, it's not. So we've got the flashing smartphone icon again, and this time around, for some reason, his pistol actually does cycle. It doesn't eject casings, but you can't have everything. So, and also, as we'll see now, his lips actually move when he talks as well. So that's next-gen technology for you, I suppose. So let's lean over here, take care of this thing here, and then we can make our way in and do the objective with our smarty phone. We've still got the Pavlov ASR, which is great, and we still have the AK-47, which is normal. So let's take that lock off there, get in here, and do our thing. We will. Okay, so the graphics on our smartphone are a little bit more primitive this time. I guess it's the previous model, but we're still doing the same thing of erasing the security featage. So let's pick up one of these Talker T3s, and there we go. So it's once again as it was before. It's blued though this time. It's just brushed steel rather than being stainless, which isn't as good. So let's take that guy out, and we will swap this out for the Sigmas, just the regular Sigmas. This thing here is a thing called a Heckler & Koch SP-89, which is a civilian pistol version of the MP5K. I'm not really sure why, but it's still a fully automatic version of it anyway. You can tell that by the fact that it doesn't have a paddle magazine release, and the fact that it has a very strange-looking handguard. Also, for some reason in the Wii version, the charging handle on the thing is always in the rearmost position, and he pulls it back even further in order to chargify it. So we'll blow that up, and that actually does counter setting the alarm off in this version, which is mean of them. And you'll notice that here on the Divina River, there is no river. They forgot it. It escaped, perhaps. It went to be in that other version, which is more prestigious. There is the airfield again, and there is smoke coming in as well, which is bad. So down there is where we're going. It's the little waterfalls that Daniel will slide down. You can see it's ridiculously high, and there's no way he could survive it. So these men are coming out now. These are the guards who are alerted if you screw things up, and they all talk like Satan for some reason, as you'll see throughout the game. So let's whip out our SP-89 and get going with their dealing with thems. So you might also notice that another little thing with the guns in this version of the game is that hardly any of them have a rear sight. They usually just have a pair of like rear sight wings on the back instead. Okay, so you can have a look at the funny looking handguard here, which is odd of it, and we don't approve. Enough of that, let's go over here. You, sir, are going to take you out with my not a sight. So let's recharge that, and then we can go in through this door like we did the last time. Because going through the other door is really silly because they all just fire at you, which is unfriendly and doesn't exactly welcome you to their land. I think they could be a bit more charitable about what they do when you walk through that door, but I suppose that's the problem. Anyway, he's going to go around there like he did before, and they are going to take defensive positions, but we are going to take offensive positions. There you go, sir, I have offended you. And they are all over here now, so we'll take them out in the previous order, but I'm actually going to screw up the last shot. Gasp. Shock horror. So let's miss this guy completely, and then we will take him out, though. He wasn't aware of us for very long. So just go around here, and we can have a look at the Talkie T3 on the ground. In the other version, in Reloaded, the guns are all shown on the ground with their slides locked open, but here they are not. That was not a thing that they wanted to do here. So let's pull out our Pavlovian ASR, and that will allow us to shoot a large, delicious cake at people, I suppose. And there it is, rotating away with its unscientific number of rotors, while this guy watches over it, supervising it perhaps. And this time the engines are in red to make it clear that they're filled with exploding communism, so we can take all of these men out the easy way. Explosions are much more powerful in the Wii version, and so are explosive weapons. They nerfed the hell out of them in Reloaded because there was such complaining about their large blast radiuses and general newbery. So in here, instead of suppressed ones, we now have one with a reflex sight. The reflex sight is actually unique to this weapon in this game. Instead of being that generic EOTech type sight, it's one of these, which looks a bit like an aim point sight. I don't think you should be able to see the reticle when it's down there, so I guess it just kind of hangs out there, which is naughty of it. So we'll take care of this thing here, and then we will reload ourselves and get on in there. Now, like I said before, if you try and shoot the grating out here, they'll hear you through the wall, so we're going to have to be a bit more subtle this time around. We'll have to be a sneaky man who sneaks. So here we get the security camera tutorial, because there wasn't one in the actual tutorial, so this is the first one in the game. It's a live action fire course thing, you see, because they don't feel like teaching you that in training. So this guy over here is doing his stuff, but we don't approve, not in the slightest, and this guy we don't approve of either. Very few people meet with Bond's approval, because he is a fairly mean person. So now that we've got our sniper rifle, we can take care of these guys from miles away, especially since we've already heard their conversation, and so it would only bore us. You get out of it. You're doomed. So do that, ride the vault forward, which probably isn't a good idea, and then we'll take care of this with our new scopey thing. This is an ACOG scope because that's actually a different upgrade. It's just a regular tube reflexolmic sight. So we'll rechargeify that in celebration of that fact and look down here at the green water. I guess they have been polluting this place or something. That's not on, and no mistake. So we'll make our way up here, dashing along. You can see this thing doesn't have a barrel, which is probably not a good idea, but I suppose it's James Bernard, so he makes it work. So we're not going to look down there, but instead we're going to use this by smashing it, and then we will use this by smashing it. There we go. So we'll pull out our P99 now, but the guard in front of us isn't actually going to be there this time. Oh, instead there is this chest here, which is down here rather than up there. It was lowered, you see. So that's a regular Pavlov ASR with a thermal scope. I don't know what the conversation they have up there is, because I always shoot them before they finish it, because I am dreadful and unfriendly. So let's take care of them once again. This time we'll use our P99 rather than sniping them. So there we go. We've dealt with all of their stuff. Now, the guys up on the helipad don't actually exist in this version either. It's a much easier thing to do. We could pick that back up again. We don't want to. And there you go. You can see it's got some handguard on its on the side of the receiver. I don't think that's how guns work, but never mind. Look at this water texture here as well. That is impressively dreadful. It's not really much better than the one in the Wii version, but never mind. Let's sneak our way along here and... Sorry, the one in the N64 version even. We're in the Wii version. What am I doing? I'm making things up as I go along. So, now we'll just go up here. I was expecting those guys to be there, but they weren't. They have failed me, failed you, and failed even their own mothers. So there's no chest there, so we don't have to worry about it. Let's instead miss going up here, because I am a very clever fellow. Throw that over there, and then we can have a look at the helicopter, which is doing its thing. They haven't stopped the rotors here. I guess it's just in park mode or something. They're a bit less generous with the hitboxes in this version, so you have to aim a little bit better with your little Pokeball. I'm not really sure why that's there. And this is something that is going to be important in the next level. In the next level in Reloaded, remember this thing, EMP radial. That is kind of a thing, because there's a thing that happens that doesn't really make any sense, but that will happen when it does. Anyway, for some reason the photo thing is a bit less generous here, so we'll have to take the photo from a slightly differing angle, and then once again these guys will detect that we are taking photos of their helicopter and will respond as they do. So we'll try and take this thing out, but its gas tank is a lot tougher to destroy in this version, so it's going to have to be a bit of a spray of bullets. And now these guys are going to start coming up the ramp, so we will take them out. He's gone, and you, sir, less of you. Right, load that back up again and give it a tweak. Alright, so now I just want to note there that you can't look straight up or straight down in this version, not even when you're using the joypad. It kind of makes sense when you're using the Wiimote, I suppose, but not at any other time. So we'll waddle our way over here in a really silly fashion. And here's another thing where this game actually trumps the other one in terms of accuracy, as you'll see when we get there. The truck is actually still the right way up, rather than turning itself back to the way it was when we started. That's good of it. It's a very obedient truck. I will praise it in its next evaluation, but that probably won't be for quite a while. I think the door turned inside out, but that will forgive it, that sort of thing. There you go. Let's, if you look up there, you can actually see the lip of the skybox, which is really not a very good thing. It's a very angular sky, apparently. That's the weather conditions that we have here in Russia. So let's pick up this here rockety launcher. They're a bit stingy with the ammo in this version because you only get 2 rounds rather than 4. So there's also no windows here. They couldn't spring for those, I suppose. This is actually a very accurate weapon, as you can see from how tight the regular sights are. Unfortunately, the front and rear iron sights are completely identical. It's not a very accurate weapon in terms of actual accuracy to the real world. Okay, so we've got this guy over here, and I'm going to snipe him from a mile away because I am a clever sniping turn. You, sir, once I've managed to line up this scope, you'll be doomed, but it's quite difficult because the increments it moves in are too big, you see. Basically, this is another one like Turning Point where you have the options of too fast, much too fast, or too slow in terms of aiming sensitivity. So that's not great at all. Anyway, we've now got to make our way along this dam, and then we will see what else is in store for us. There's some more guys will be coming out up there in just a moment as we make our way towards our Medal of Honor Idiot dot. This is something that modern first-person shooters have a tendency to do, you see, is to make it so that you have an indicator on your map, in order that the map design doesn't actually have to make any sense. So we'll load that back up, do this to the thing. One thing you might also notice about this sniper rifle, or who am I kidding, you probably won't, is that when you reload it, it's got the magazine of a Romanian PSL sniper rifle, which is a thing that looks a lot like the Dragunov, but isn't. But it isn't a Romanian PSL sniper rifle, which means that doesn't make any sense. These men have been struck down by it not making any sense. They were gun fans, you see, and they all noticed it before they croaked. So here's the last of them. We're going to take him out using his less than generous hitbox, which isn't very good considering the aiming in this is a lot worse than it is in the other one. And then we will clamber up this tower.
Diversion to cover our exit.
Well, you should say pardon when you do that, Trevelyan, you dirty little man. Anyway, so we'll make our way up in here, and Tower 2 will once again complain at us. So we've got the Pavlov ASI here with the regular sight. This is actually a lot more accurate than the other one. It looks pretty much exactly like it's supposed to, that PSO-1 type sight. And here is the problem with this in the Wii version, is that the rockets are incredibly slow, and when you fire it, it looks like you've blown yourself up for a minute. So it's always taking your life in your hands, and you have to live in fear, which is unpleasant. So we'll take care of these guys with our regular scope. Now, the regular scope here is even less accurate than the other one. It's at least got a bottom line to its stadiometric rangefinder, but it looks absolutely nothing like it's supposed to. So here come the heavy men coming out of their place as we aim at them with difficulty and chickens. So that guy there will be the subject of his demise eventually, but it's going to take quite a while, I'm afraid. Alright, so take that guy out. He dies in one hit to the leg for some reason. I think they must be randomizing the damage here or something, because sometimes they die easily and other times it takes a bazillion hits. Which isn't good because it's usually a lot less generous with sniper rifle ammo than it is in this level. So he gets shot in the ankle and he dies. And this guy gets shot in the torso and he doesn't die. Maybe it's his body armor that's doing it. You, sir, get out of it. Alright, so that's dealt with, and now we have got to go over here and do this thing here. So we've got no dialogue from 006, but at least that actually does look a bit more like a map than it does in the other one, so that's both good and bad. So we're going to make our way down there, we'll swap out our launching contraption for something else, and then we will make our way back out of here. Let's pick this up instead. I don't like you, rocket launcher, you can go away. One thing that I'm really surprised at is if you look out over the water, you see that there isn't actually an island there. You would have thought they would have included that as a joke or something, but no, that was not to be either. So let's pick up the old AK-47. Going to have a quick look down to the muzzle of one of these to check it for gas pistonage. I was just checking that. That was a spot check for IMFDB, I'm afraid. It has nothing to do with you guys, and you are best off just forgetting about it. So let's go in here, and then we can use this and get on down to conclude our mission and get back into the game. Well, have you reached the rendezvous? What are you complaining at me for if you haven't, you dirty little man? Alright, so we'll load that up again. We've shot that off, and there is the thing. We can't get it because, as they'll explain in the next level, they arbitrarily decide how far away you can get those from. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's just basically we have a manufactured game mechanic. So let's make our way down here and slide down. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before because I'm a very forgetful person, but you can actually lean by tilting the nunchuck if you're using using the Wii motion controls. The thing is, it's kind of useless because all it actually does is rotate the screen around its midpoint. You don't really lean out at all. Though I'm not sure of its functionality aside from saying that the game is balanced for lean. However, it's not balanced for lean in the other one. If Bond tried leaning, he'd fall over, so we just have to make do. And meanwhile, there's a bed spring behind us, apparently. I really have no idea what that sound effect is about, but you'll hear it quite a lot, so you're just going to have to live with the strangeness of it. Alright, so just take out the last few handfuls of this guy. You notice in the Wii version they don't even pretend this is a stealth section, which is at least honest of them. That guy's making his little fut sounds back there, so he must have a pistol, so he is weak compared to our sniping McRifleton. Right, you sir, you're going to eat bullets in your general direction. There we go, load that up and do the things to it again. So, now we've just got to make our way up this set of stairs, make our last photographies, and then we can ablage the level. That's not a word. So let's go up here then, as we do, into the serving room where serving is made. We'll point our reticle there, and then we will make the last of our downloads, and we have one at that too. Now you can't actually go inside that in this version. That is limited to the other version, so in this version Bond can't walk through walls. He doesn't have that ability yet. So let's switch to our AK and then think better of it and switch back to our SVD, and then we'll make our way through this door again. So in this version, Trevelyan is not so much in the vehicle as he is associated with the vehicle, which is silly of him. I think it actually might still be an enemy. There are still enemy flags on the map there, but they disappear when you go downstairs, so I'm not really sure about that. Whatever, it doesn't actually point its gun at you anymore. It stays pointed over there, so maybe they are friendly enemies, like Trevelyan currently is. So off he goes down there, and once again we prepare to face these men, who this time don't have all of that silly stuff on their jackets. So, he raises his hands, preparing to outwit them. You would think that, you know, as a James Bond, he would have a gadget here, but of course, Daniel Craig does not have silly gadgets, just lots more fighting with that French bloke who does no, hang on, that's probably not here. So, he's going to take off his parachute, and once again, he is ready for them. He's got his silly red handle there, which is the handle to pull if you want to get rid of the Russians. There we go. So, he makes his powerful jump. There's bullets that fly over him, but he is invincible to that. So, let's descend down here once again, and we will have the titles. Now, the reason I haven't skipped over these is actually remarkably simple. You can't. Not in this version. It's fixed. So, next we'll be getting into Facility. Facility is very different. They're not even trying to remake the levels anymore. Brief pause to clear throat, and once again our map is rotatalizing around and the Goldeneye satellite has exploded, which I guess means we don't have to deal with it anymore, but we do. We must protect the people of Derby. Daniel Craig will protect the people of Derby by pointing a gun at nothing. That's his procedure, and he's going to stand by it forever. So once again he's going to use his clever gun-firing trick in order to generate some rifling, which isn't a gun barrel sequence and isn't like one at all. And he's going to fall 1,000,000 feet down here because that isn't at all fatal, and then he will drown. That's the rest of the game, I'm afraid. We're done with it, I suppose. So, we got all of these women swimming around in the circles of fire and blinge. I guess this is just how this dam works or something. I can't really say for sure, but they've assembled a firearm, which is good of them, and one has even decided to be the bullet. I wonder how they did that. Perhaps they drew straws or something, but now they're going to draw something else, something distinctly inferior to straws. It's Daniel Craig. Amazing Daniel Craig facts number 93. The Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. It was Daniel Craig. Don't look at me like that. We all know it's true. So we'll zoom in on his eye to find out the mechanisms of his brain, which are apparently the Matrix, and he's going to try and swing away from this awful cover version of the song, and he has succeeded.
Nice trick. Doing it without a parachute. Trying to show me up?
Yes, I thought I'd do something physically impossible. You did that too with your silly truck-type behavior. But now we'll go over here. There's no safety rail and this exploding barrel there too.
For England, Alec. Always for England.
Nah. Right, okay, so we're now done with that, and that is that for the Wii version. Next time we'll have guests. I have been Evil Tim, and this has been Goldeneye. Goodbye.